Okay, so I guess we have everybody that's going to be here. So I guess it's going to call the meeting for the Catamount Community Forest Committee to open it at 5:30 p.m. And let's see, so is there any public comment? I don't think I see anybody from the public here. So I guess we can go on, and we're a little bit early, but we can just go ahead and approve, read the minutes from April 21st. So Melinda, how was Green Up Day? I wasn't able to be there Saturday. Was there a lot of people?
Yeah, it was awesome. There was a really big turnout, and we had a great time.
Oh, good. Oh, excellent.
Yep. Wow, at our last meeting, we were actually talking about snow.
No snow today.
I'm thinking no snow for the rest of the season.
Well, let's hope so.
Definitely. Okay, so I guess if everybody had time to read the minutes? And I guess if so, if someone could make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of April 21, 2022 as written.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
Pat,
I'm sorry.
Great. Okay.
Pat's
so-
face
Any-
moving.
Oh, great. Any further discussion?
Mhm.
All right, so don't hear any. So all those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And all those opposed? And any abstaining?
One abstention because I wasn't present.
Okay, great. All right, so the minutes have been approved for April 21st, 2022 as written. All right. So I guess is Ethan Ethan here
I don't see Ethan. He's not in the waiting room.
and I think we've been talking about it for a little while, but
Okay.
that's all right. I'm sure he'll show up. So just at the last minute, I thought, oh, I should send out those forest management signage document just so people could see it. I sent it out quite a while ago, but that is what he's proposing to put up at Catamount, just so folks can have a little heads up about some of the things that are going to be happening around the forest management there in the the next season. And I guess I can just go on to the EAB update. And I think Melinda, you and Ethan were talking about supplies and things, and it makes sense for the town actually to purchase those supplies.
Yes, and they have been purchased.
Oh, they have been.
Yeah, they should get, they're due to get here by May 18th.
Oh, perfect.
Hopefully that'll work timing wise.
Yep, I think so. The leaves are coming out fast and furious right now, but
Yeah.
yeah. And I guess I was talking with Ethan a little bit about how to identify the trees that we treat. So what I've seen in some other applications is there are these little round dog tags that they tack on the tree. So that might be something else that we have to purchase.
Okay, well, worst comes to worst, I don't know, we can find some way to mark them, I suppose.
Yeah,
It's-
so,
Yeah.
and then also the Heinsberg Town Forest is actually doing exactly what we're doing. And possibly, they come probably in a ring, of many. So maybe they have a different system that they're gonna be using.
Mhm.
So I guess, Ethan was asking for funding for that, and I was thinking that we could use the money in the stewardship fund
For what?
cover the cost of the signage, because
Oh,
he did not have monies for that. He had money for the deer exclosure.
you could probably, if it's done in next fiscal year, you could probably use money in the Catamount budget. I know that this past year you did allocate some money towards like education and outreach, so that could kind of fall under that.
Okay.
Ethan is here, by the way.
Oh, great. Okay, well then maybe I'll let him, he can start in on all the deer
Mhm.
exclosure. Great.
Great. So hello, everybody. Do you want to talk about the deer exposure first, Terry?
Yeah, sure. That'd be great.
Great. So we have some funding, I believe it's federal funding, to install a deer exclosure in one town forest in each of Vermont's counties. So I just thought that Catamount would be an interesting place to put it, a high visibility place where, the goal is deer herds, and what it would be would be basically just juxtaposing the regeneration, the young trees and plants that grow inside the exclosure with those that grow outside of the exclosure, as a means to demonstrate the effect of deer browse on ecology. So this is something that's completely free. There will be educational signage that will also be free that will go along with it. And we could talk about exactly where it could go. But yeah, I just thought it would be a good opportunity, and I thought it would be a good.
You're breaking up a little bit, Ethan. Is everybody else having? Yeah. Ethan,
Yeah.
you sound like a robot. You must,
Slow signal.
Yeah,
is it just me? No, I think maybe he's up
Ethan,
in
if you-
Bolton.
Ethan, if you turn your video off, you might have better luck with the audio. You can try that. There he goes. Still don't hear him, but
Oh, I'm sorry. So
there,
There, that's better.
yeah.
I
is
think.
that any better? Is that the same?
That's
Okay,
better.
so should I just, you want me to just say all that again?
Well, we got as far as that you have funding to put in an exclosure in one town in every county. And
Okay.
you thought it would be a cool idea to juxtapose the two, heavily browsed versus not browsed areas. That's as far as we got.
Got it. Yeah, so it's basically an educational tool. So it's just a way of showcasing, increasing deer herd is something we're really concerned about. And it is most prominent in the Champlain Valley. And so I thought Catamount would be a good fit. And also it would be a highly visible place where we can really showcase, the differences between regeneration within the exclosure and outside of the exclosure. And it's completely free. Educational signage that's associated with it would also be free. All I would need would be your permission, and we would have to decide where it would go.
So would it most likely be on the north side of the property?
Yeah, I had thought about it as on the north side. And it would probably, we would want it to be in an area with some sort of a canopy opening. And we would probably want it to be in an area that wasn't just totally overrun with invasive plants. So we'd want to find maybe an area where there was a little bit of a blowdown, or an area in that stand 6, which was harvested recently. But just some area where there are young plants where we could put it up, and then, as those plants grow up, we would showcase the difference between the species composition, the different species that are there, and then also, how well they're doing from inside the exclosure and outside of the exclosure. And this follows some work I'd actually did with some UVM students a couple of years ago, where we found essentially no healthy young trees in any of our sampling, where just deer browse seemed to be really an issue at Catamount. And so it just seemed like an area where we would show more of a stark contrast between the regeneration within the exclosure and outside of the exclosure.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I know that the deer browse has been a problem, and Chapin actually went over to Catamount to harvest some oak saplings. And he went over there and just was, all the oak saplings were really heavily browsed. He did dig up some, but they were just really pretty stunted.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Hey, Ethan, it's Kim here. How big of an area are we considering? Just so I can put that on our radar as well.
It's a 20-foot by 20-foot exclosure.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah, so it's pretty small.
Yeah.
And
Again,
really
it's
is.
mostly it's not meant to be like an effective tool for actually, like bringing along large areas of regeneration. It's just purely like an educational thing.
Right. What is the fence material?
I believe it's nylon. I believe it's metal posts and nylon webbing, and it's 8 feet tall. Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be. We want it to be visible, both to deer and to humans. There's actually another really good example of a deer exclosure that's being used as an educational tool like this is at the Waterworks Forest in Bristol. I don't know if you've all been there, but they put it in a really prominent place, and they really like hang a lot of flagging off it and make it, sort of visible so that people are like, oh, what's that thing? And then they go up and they read the sign and learn about it.
There's a couple of people in the room here that have questions.
Great. And is there a hand up? I'm not quite.
Yeah, that was me indicating
Oh.
there were people in the room.
Well, actually, my question was the same as Kim's,
Okay.
which is how big an area? So we're not covering acreage, we're covering
Uh-huh.
400 square feet. Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Now I'm just seeing that there's folks with you. That was-
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so
Jeff?
Reed and Jeff. Okay, great.
So can I go off topic just for a second? It's related. What I heard in this discussion was somebody went to Catamount and harvested oak trees, oak saplings. I guess my question is I'm not arguing for or against, but is that okay?
Yeah,
So-
we Chapin Keener wanted to like literally take like a bucket full of some oak saplings, so.
He came and asked and we said
Yeah,
fine, or
yeah,
you said fine, okay,
Yeah, I
yeah,
determined it was,
yeah.
it was okay.
It was, yeah, okay, I just would
They were
worry
tight.
if maybe they were harvesting some sort of maybe a rare
Yeah,
type thing,
Yeah.
or if they were harvesting a ton.
right, yeah.
But, okay, all right.
He
Enough
got
said.
it pre-approved, yes. He was working with everybody, sent out emails to Kim, to Melinda, to myself. And he's working on another project, which he did a presentation at the Conservation Commission for reforesting the Allen Brook School Tree Island area.
And I'm sorry, I'll be real brief. What I'd like about this is we have a good process, if you will, for if folks want to do something like this in the future.
Uh-huh.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I hope that I wasn't remiss in not bringing that to the committee,
Yeah.
but I felt that it was minor enough that, but yeah, if somebody was proposing to harvest rare plants or harvest like a
Yeah.
ton of, yeah, that would definitely
or even doing it without our knowledge, but
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
We could have asked Chapin to take a few invasives with them. I mean,
Yeah.
Well,
be good, yeah, right?
That's true.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
There's been a lot more deer traffic going back and forth, I think, this spring than I've seen in the last couple of years. Like in the afternoon, it wasn't even a night or early morning. So it's been interesting. A lot of cars stopping, watching 3, 4, 5, 6 deer following each other, sort of back over across, heading east into the Catamount Forest.
So when I was up at North Hero today, Nancy Patch was up there also doing an event with the kids. And she was doing forestry, and she's the county forester up there. And she just came back and she said, wow, the deer browse is incredible up there. It was at Ingalls, Camp Ingalls. She said there's no regeneration happening up there. There's so many deer up in the islands, and there's less hunters. So it's really having an impact on the forest being regenerated. So. So is there anybody else have questions?
How do we go about identifying a spot? Do we as a group tramp around and put a stake in the ground and say, here's our 20 by 20 area? If we want it visible, we don't want it in an extremely remote area. So what do we propose as a way of picking a spot?
So we could do it a few different ways. I would definitely like to be involved in picking the spot just to make sure that it's good for what the purpose of that grant is, which is demonstration. And you wouldn't want it to be in an area just with a really closed canopy with no understory, because then there would be no regeneration either way. You'd want it to be in an area with a little bit more of an open canopy. So yeah, so we could find a time to go out there together and put a stake in the ground and say this is exactly where it would be, or I could find a place for it and just clear it with Kim, and then we could just put it up. It's up to you.
Yeah, I think if members were interested in coming along, I think that would be, a good idea to have, go out for a walk with you guys, Ethan and Kim and Reed or whoever else was interested.
Yeah, and Ethan, from our perspective at Catamount, I mean, obviously, as long as it's not crossing over trails, it really, there's no preference on our end. So
Cool.
I think we see the most deer traffic on that northwest area of the property. So if that helps at all.
Yes. Yeah, I think that north, I'm off of somewhere visible in that sort of Woods Trace Sandman area, I think would be ideal. Yeah. But again, it wouldn't be an area, we wouldn't want it to be an area where there's just a lot, where it's really shaded understory.
Yeah, there was lots of activity all winter into the spring, where we've got the winter snowshoe trail, the north-south trail that heads off of like the beginning of Woods Trace and then towards where it crosses over the wetlands. So we don't use that in the summer because it gets too wet, but there was a lot of deer activity through there all winter.
I'll bet.
Yep.
That's good to know.
Okay, so
I think all I would need from the committee is, sort of like a provisional approval that this is something that you want to do. Oh, I believe there's also, didn't I send you, Terry, a form?
Ooh, I don't remember seeing that, but you might have.
Yeah, I think basically all we would need would just be sort of provisional approval, provided we can agree on a place to put it. And then I have something that I think the state would want you to sign on behalf of the committee, Terry, if there was a motion.
Okay. So I'll look through my emails, or you can send that to me again. And so is it, so we should make a motion and vote on this? Is that right, Melinda?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Well, all right, so this is Reed. I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the deer Exclosure and Forest Management Project as proposed by Ethan. And that we locate a suitable place within the Catamount Forest for it and get the right permitting from the state via their form and go forward.
And is there a second?
I'll second that emotion.
Okay, great. So all those in favor, say aye.
I,
All those, what, not in favor? I told you I was going to be a little spacey.
Opposed?
Opposed, there you go. I knew there was a word. And any opposed? Okay, and any abstaining? Okay, hearing none. So the motion is approved, and Ethan, if you could send me that form, and maybe Melinda probably will have to sign off on it too.
We can send it to me. I'll take a look at it. If it needs like property owner signature, probably Eric will have to sign it.
Okay, and I can come in to the town office if I need to sign it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Great.
And then Ethan, I just wanted to let you know that I ordered the supplies for the EAB. And they should be coming, like, they should be here by May 18th.
Oh, that's great. Thanks for doing
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
so it sounds like you were talking about that before I came in, but I'm really excited about that. And Caitlin Cusack from the Vermont Land Trust is going to come out and show us how to use it. And yeah, and that'll be really I think that'll be a really neat thing. And that's also something that probably we'll want to publicize in some way just because it's cool and
Maybe
let people
put
know
up
that
a
we're doing that.
sign.
Yeah, we will put something on the Facebook page and take some pictures. And I know Laura Myers was interested in being there when you actually do the treatment because she's qualified or whatever, applicator.
Right.
Yeah, and so some point we'll have to get together and have you go out, and we'll go out and look to see which trees, like, I know we especially want to treat that large one, the really big
Yeah,
tree.
that really beautiful one. Yeah.
I went out there and I tried to identify male and female,
Yeah.
and I just couldn't. I didn't see any differences up in the leaves are just coming out, or the flowering buds or whatever.
I've been like banging my head against the wall trying to figure out the best way to identify male versus female ones. And the tricky thing, of course, is that the seeds are the diagnostic feature, that there's only seeds on the females. But when the seeds are in the tree, there are leaves on the tree.
Right.
So it's very hard to see.
Yeah.
But then I read a paper recently where they were suggesting that because ash pollen doesn't travel very far, that actually we need a lot of males and females. I just read that like 2 days ago. So I think that made me feel a little bit better that we can just find healthy ash trees and we will just treat them, and hopefully we'll get both.
Good. No, that's a good plan. And then I also was wondering, the ash trees that, we've treated up at our camp, there's a little numbering system. There's like little dog tags to identify the trees and to keep track of what year we did what tree. So do you have an idea of how we would keep track of those?
Oh, I'll ask, what's that guy who treats your trees, Terry?
Oh yeah, Chris Dolmer. Yeah.
I'll ask Chris
Oh, good.
what he does.
So that would be great. And maybe if Heinsberg is doing the same thing, maybe we could go in on a ring of numbers together and split
Yeah.
them something. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Heinsberg's doing exactly the same thing.
So, and great. So we're all set on the deer exclosure and the EAB. So do you want to talk a little bit about that signage?
Before we
Yes.
move on,
We got a question here.
quick question.
I'm sorry.
What is the treatment? Sorry, I don't recall or missed the meeting. What is the treatment?
Ethan, maybe you can.
Yeah. So the treatment is essentially what the treatment is it's an insecticide that we inject into trees to prevent emerald ash borer infestation, or it can actually kill emerald ash borers that are already in the tree to a certain point. And so we think that this is probably the only reliable way to make sure that we have any ash trees alive, once that wave of infestation comes through, which is probably going to be in the next 10, 15 years. The chemical, it's a non-neonicotinoid, which is good for the bugs, but it's a systemic thing that you inject physically into the trunk of the tree. The one that the state is recommending is called, the name of the active ingredient is emamectin benzoate, and the trade name is Triage.
Okay.
Tricky.
And so
Marketing.
we're just literally buying a quart of this chemical, and it's going to be enough to treat somewhere between probably 10 to 20 trees.
And this came about, just to let you know, there's a grove of mature ash trees at Catamount that is, it's got one very, very large tree that's, you probably are.
Yes,
know
it's
where-
huge, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just basically trying to preserve a remnant of that grove, basically a number of trees in that grove, just
Okay.
for like, I don't know, cultural, ecological diversity, whatever.
So I was under the impression there was very little you could do about emerald ash borer, but it sounds like there is some proactive techniques that may not save all trees, but
Right, and the town does actually treat some trees like
Okay.
near the library and on the town green.
okay.
Um,
I didn't
not
notice
very
that.
many,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
a few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other piece of it that's important is that this is treatment that needs to be repeated every 2 or perhaps every 3 years. So, and it's not, the chemical is really expensive. So it's not something that's feasible that you could do like all throughout the woods everywhere. You sort of have to pick your battles.
And this
And
is nice,
even-
it's a grove.
Yeah, and Ethan, do you think this entire court will be used up will this one treatment use up the entire court?
No, not the one tree. It's enough for,
I mean, the treatment that,
yeah, we'll use
Okay.
we'll use the whole court.
all right.
I would imagine, try to treat as many trees as we can, because there's quite a few there in that grove.
And so another thing that I would add is that, so there's that one big, really special tree, and then there's sort of a pocket of trees right there. But, I don't know if there are any other really, really special ash trees elsewhere on Catamount that people are really attached to. So that could be something to put out to make sure that there's not any other big, beautiful ash trees that we're missing somewhere.
Yeah, I haven't noticed any, but definitely that is quite a concentration of ash trees over in that.
Right. And that was the one that Jim McCullough was really
Yeah.
wanted us to get after, right?
Right, and Laura actually told me that he was interested and that he would, would like to be able to save that one, yeah. So,
Yeah, special tree.
Mm.
okay, so did that answer your question, Jeff?
Yes, oh, no, very good, thank you.
Okay, so I guess if Ethan, if you want to go ahead and talk about that forest management signage.
Oh yeah, so feels like it's been forever. So back in 2019, when we passed the forest management plan for Catamount, we prescribed a couple of different active forest management activities. One of them was the work that we did, or started with the work that we did last winter, not winter 21-22, but winter 2021, right? Yeah. And where we, created that big mess right at the entrance to Woods Trace, and did some other management for early successional habitat and golden wing warbler and other shrubland and young forest birds, which was paid for by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and then followed that with some invasive treatment. So that was one thing. That was the first thing. And we put up some educational signage around that area. And then the next thing is part of this project called Adaptive Silviculture for Climate Change, which is a partnership with the University of Vermont and with some other organizations, Audubon Vermont. And so what that will look like, that's something that we want to do starting in August 2023. And it'll look like doing some forest management in an area that's 2 different stands within the northern portion of Catamount that are called stands 2 and stands 3 in the forest management plan. It's a relatively small area of Catamount, totaling about 30 acres in size. And it's a cool project. I mean, there's all kinds of really interesting data collection that will go on, and they've already been out and actually collecting data throughout this area. And the goal is to understand how forests adapt and how we manage them responsibly in a changing climate. And I know that also that there is some anxiety, rightfully so, about what forest management like that will mean for that portion of Catamount. And so what I really want to do is to get way out ahead of this project, a year in advance of the project, and start doing outreach around it so that people can get their questions answered and no one's surprised, and people can feel heard and really have like a chance to understand what we're going to do. And so I want to do this summer, I want to do some educational events where, we can go out, we can walk through the area, we can talk about what that work's going to look like, and, just really give people a chance to ask questions about it. But then I also really want to put up some educational signage so that even if I'm not there, that people can know that something is going to happen, and just be aware and have, these educational signs that I've created for this are very similar to those that are already installed by that wildlife habitat work that we've done. So they'll have QR codes that link people to different resources and to educational videos, and also have text and photos. And what these signs that I want to put out will say is, we're going to be doing this work in this area, and these are the kinds of things that we're going to be managing for, and then provide some educational resources. I created 7 signs. And I think that to print the signs, it's about $30 a sign. So that's $210. And then there's some other posts and hardware that I could just install them maybe with the help of a couple of volunteers. And I would love to do that as soon as possible, but certainly this summer.
Great. And I did send out the link again to the signage, but it's similar if anybody's been to the Heinsberg Town Forest. There's really nice signage, and it's very informational, and folks really like it. So does anybody have any questions or comments?
I would love to see the signage up as soon as possible. And I think National Trails Day, Ethan, you're going to be there too, I guess, and just sharing some of that information there is going to be a great starting point. Looking at a calendar for August 2023, because we had talked about this in the beginning stages, was making sure that it didn't overrun with our summer camp program. And that goes, it's hard to say without the school calendar, but generally through the 3rd full week in August is usually about when that runs. So I just want to make sure that that's still within the plan.
Yeah, I think we can make that work.
No, that'd be great. And I'll know more about it like once I see school calendars come out. So whether it ends like the 19th or the 18th or the 25th, I don't know yet.
Great. So my thought was that Ethan was saying it would be great to get it out there as soon as possible. It would have been great to have it for the Trails Day, but I think that's a little too soon, but they're quick. So I was thinking that we might be able to use the stewardship fund to cover the costs of the signage. And so I know, Melinda, you were saying waiting till the next fiscal year.
Well, that starts July 1, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, so if we receive the signage after July 1, then we could spend out of FY '23.
Okay.
Um,
And I guess the thought is that the stewardship fund is there to use. And I remember that was kind of a, the committee talked about that a lot, about that the stewardship fund isn't just to sit there and not be
Yeah.
used. It's
Yeah.
good to, $10,000 was set aside to be able to use for things like this. So I was thinking of maybe,
Yeah, I mean, I think whatever this committee wants to do, I think with the stewardship fund, the policy there's kind of a process to get it approved. So that may take a little bit, and it goes to the select board, and the select board decides whether they want to approve the expenditure. So,
Okay.
it means waiting
Yeah.
to get on their agenda.
So it may
Okay.
be July anyway.
Yeah.
so maybe okay, so Ethan, is that if we wait till July and we can put it on to next year's budget?
Yeah, sure. So I guess if that's the case, we should order them in June.
Okay,
And then we can pay for them in July. Does that work, Melinda?
like
Yeah,
July 1st.
that works. I think the rule is when we receive whatever it is, in what fiscal year that is, that's where the money comes out of. So if we don't receive it until July, then we're into fiscal year '23.
Okay.
Hey,
Yeah.
Ethan, Kim here. How many signs are you talking? And I'm assuming roughly the same size as the ones that were out there for the warbler habitat, but how many?
Yeah, virtually identical. So it's very similar design. I designed 7. We could do less, but I designed 7 with sort of each one talking about different aspects of the work.
No, I think it's fantastic. And just for reference, Terry, I don't know if you know, Melinda's probably familiar with it. UVM Print and Mail has made incredible signage at very, very low cost. We just purchased like 30 signs for our pollinator garden for under $200.
Oh, wow.
So they are super, super fast. You send them the design and we've had turnaround in less than a week. And we're using like a corrugated plastic material, which doesn't get eaten by the rodents. So it lasts, and they'll even provide like H stakes if you need them and that sort of thing. So they've been fantastic to deal with.
Good to know.
Yeah.
That's great.
Great. Okay, so.
And I would say one thing I would add just as we're talking about it, Terry, is that I'd be happy to also design a sign about ash treatment that is the same,
Oh, yeah.
that we
would
could
be-
also add to that while we're doing it.
Right, and Heinsberg Town Forest probably would be interested in that too, so.
Yeah, totally.
For their project, so, yeah, that would, I guess if the committee thinks that's a good idea too, but yeah, I think it's a great idea the more education and the more people know about what's going on, I think is the best. Yeah. And hopefully those ash trees will be around for a long time and, they'll be put into good use for, learning about them. Okay, so I guess Melinda, we just hold off until next meeting to approve for the money for the signage to be used?
I mean, you could do it now if you want. I mean, yeah, if you want to just take a vote on it now, if you're pretty sure, or you could wait. It's up to you.
Did everybody get the link to I sent it out a couple of months ago and then I just sent it out today.
Okay, let's get into it.
Oh, did you send it to me too?
I just sent it out, I just replied to the announcement of this meeting.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you do make a motion, I'm thinking now, Terry, because there is some weird pricing stuff with metals going on right now, that I think it would make sense to, if it's okay, to approve up to $500. I don't think it's going to be nearly that much, but just in case.
just in case, yeah. Yeah, materials are going.
Oh, I see.
So did you find the link there?
Uh, I'm having problems getting the link here.
You don't happen to have that right handy, Ethan, do you?
The link. Let me
It
see.
was like an editing tool type thing. It was.
Yeah, it was Canva.
Yeah.
Hold on one sec. I'll find it.
But the signage was great. It was, you know, covered a lot of different topics and great graphics and similar, like Ethan said, to the ones that were put up for the Golden Wing Warbler project. And
Yeah, I can't find it.
oh no, yeah.
No. It's buried in my email. Somewhere.
And you sent it earlier today?
I did. I sent it probably around 4 or 4:30.
418, she said it, so it's in the string of
Oh,
all.
okay.
So it's the top of the thread with all the other notifications. So yeah, 40, I just pulled it up
Mhm.
and there's a link in there. It says, you're invited to edit a design created by Ethan Tabor, start designing now.
Uh-huh.
And then I went to do edit, and then you could just continue on with that, and then it would go right to the signage. And I think I had to I continued with like Facebook or Google, I think Google, and it brought it right up. Oh, so Ethan just posted the link in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully that works.
Yeah, let me open it up here. And then I'll share my screen.
It says lots of nasty stuff about the administration of the town of Williston. Melinda, that's what most of it is.
Yeah, okay. All right, so I think this is what I'm going to share. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, there you go.
Um,
If you go to
it's-
edit,
it's kind of-
Just click edit design.
edit, yeah.
Oh,
And then I continued with Google or email, whatever works for you.
it's gonna make me sign in and
Yeah.
I just,
Oh, yeah, yeah. So
there it is. All right, good. I can never remember passwords.
there we go.
All right, how do I get rid of this template stuff? Let's just do that.
Ah, there you go.
And see if I can.
And there's a
zoom
little,
in.
yeah, you can increase the size right there. You get it.
Ooh,
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um,
And then that purple bubble, yeah, there you go. Thanks.
neat.
So it also talks about stuff like we're going to do education and outreach the whole time and beforehand, and talks about adaptive silviculture for climate change, that project, and gives some QR code links to different resources.
Right, those QR codes give so much information, which is nice. So I think there's 6 or 7 panels. So if you keep scrolling down,
Okay.
there's some more.
Oops. All right, I did something. There we go.
Ah.
All right. Ecological forestry. Yeah, these are very nice, Ethan.
Thank you. I worked
with.
with so many UVM classes to try and get good signage. And then one of them used this platform Canva, and they got me close enough that if I just
Canva.
changed all the words and all the pictures, that it looked pretty nice.
Yeah, that is really nice. I mean, I love Canva.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
those-
started
those-
using it too. It's so fantastic.
It's awesome, and it's free.
Messy is good.
Oh,
Or
that's-
this version I'm using is free.
yeah, there's just so much information on these. It's
That's
great.
great. So Ethan, if you were to put these signs up during the week of July 6th to 11th, I can loan you a 17-year-old who's a very hard worker.
Volunteer, yeah.
thing.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, anyway.
Great, well, good, yeah, they're really beautiful
all-
signage.
Yeah, those look
It'll be
great.
kind of cool too, because like with all these signs, there will be a lot of information at Catamount about all kinds of cool stuff. Like, so there'll be these signs about the wildlife habitat management. There'll be a sign about emerald ash borer and ash treatment, and then there'll be these signs about forest management. It'll be like if people can take themselves on a little interpretive bike ride, where they can learn all about the forest.
No, Ethan, what I'd love to do too is, I wonder if we can also turn this into a story map, with like,
Uh-huh.
even if it's just, wherever we put the signs, like just use the sign itself as the story, I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's a great idea. Have you seen the story map I did about the wildlife habitat management at Catamount?
I believe so, yeah. That was
Yeah,
the one
I
we did.
love that format. I think it's so nice and looks so good.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Anyways,
so I guess we could make a motion to um, have funding for the next fiscal year. So is that something that I can do, make a motion, or should one of the other members make a motion?
I think either way, I mean, I have just learned recently that it is acceptable for a chair to make a motion. It doesn't usually,
Right, didn't have to
yeah.
come from a member.
Okay, so I guess I'd like to make a motion to approve funding up to what, $500? Was that right, Ethan?
That'd be great.
Okay, for the signage in the starting of the fiscal year 2023 from the Catamount budget. Is that good, Melinda?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, good.
I'll second that motion.
Great. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Bye.
All those opposed? And any abstentions? Okay, hearing none, approve the the funding of the signs.
Great. This is all very exciting stuff, guys, I think.
Great. Yes, yeah, I think people are really going to enjoy it, and people walking, biking, skiing, they'll see it all seasons, and this can stay up. I mean, even after the logging, it's still pertinent.
Yeah.
To have that up, so.
And so I'm gonna make a note to order these signs by mid-June. And Terry, will you help me remember?
Yes, sure. I will email.
It might get lost in the sauce. And then the other thing I'll add is that I will also be in touch about, I need to look at my summer schedule and start thinking about when we can have events. So I'd like to also be in touch about that.
Great.
That'd be wonderful. I just really would want to reach out to folks and, both, from, everywhere, through the Observer and Front Porch Forum and the Outdoor Center, and just try to, get people out there. I've been seeing a lot of people just walking and birding, and yeah, it's great to see people out and about.
It really is.
And you always get new people, like you've done so many walks and talks at Heinsberg Town Forest, and you just get so many different people with different topics.
Totally. Yeah. We'll try to frame the walks in a lot of different ways, and partner with different organizations, and you get different people.
Great.
Well, thank you so
Alright.
much, Ethan. Thanks for
Thanks all. Thanks for having
Thanks,
me.
Ethan.
Thank you. Stay cool.
I'll try.
Thanks. Okay, so we're just running a little bit behind, but so the next, we already did the EAB update. So so just to add on to that, Green Mountain Audubon Society is going to donate $200 towards the Emerald Ash Borer treatment.
Oh.
So they'll be sending a check. They asked if they could send it sometime in May, and I thought that was fine. And they must have something to do with their schedule or whatever for funding. So that should be showing up fairly soon. So that'll cover, help cover the costs of some of the other things too. So I think that'll give this like $700.
Yeah, the thing is though, if we get that money in FY22, it can't go towards FY23 stuff. So.
Okay, so
something to
they're-
think about.
okay, so they're sending it in this, like in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, so well, yeah, just saying, it's a little unfortunate because we do have enough money in the budget to cover that, to cover the treatment as it is.
Oh, okay, I thought it was, so I guess at one point we thought it was more expensive and that we needed other
Yeah.
supplies, and we also need those tags. So those will be an additional, they can't be that much, but yeah. Okay.
Okay, well, yeah,
Well, I'll just keep that in mind, but they did request to hold off on that funding till May for some reason, so. And I'll follow up with Pat Phillips to see when they were planning on doing that, so. Okay, so I guess move on to other business, and so next up is Catamount Outdoor Family Center updates.
Yeah, so updates. Finally, stuff's starting to dry out up there. This low humidity, dry weather is helping. There's areas on the north side that are still really, really wet. So, but just to be expected. But other than that, things are in great shape. Races are starting next week, so that's exciting that that's happening again in person for the season. Our pollinator garden has started to be put in, so we have all of the material. Amanda picked up the signage day before yesterday, so those go up. They'll go in front of that buck and rail fence because everything's going to be planted under the fence so that we aren't having to string trim it as it grows. And then the signage talks, I think I mentioned in the last meeting, maybe it talks about what a pollinator garden is. It's signage for each species that's planted. So what it attracts, when it blooms, what color it blooms. And then also like the don't tread on me type signage, like don't climb through the fence to go around because we're trying to grow a garden. So those look great. They will be going up soon as well. I don't have a whole lot else for an update. Just something, I guess, to bring everyone's attention here is our sign-in process. So back in winter of 2020, when the state made a requirement for everyone to sign in electronically, we switched to that format and it worked really, really well because then Melinda could have access to that. Like everyone can kind of look at that data, like where are people coming from? What activity are they doing? And when are they coming? And I would estimate that about a third of the visitors actually sign in. And the majority, like when we look back at the data from last year, and then also just looking at this winter, it's skiers and bikers are the main majority that are signing in. So it's people that are paying to use Catamount. They're signing in. Unfortunately, like the folks that are showing up to go sledding in the winter, or hiking and snowshoeing, birding are not signing in. It's very, very few. And I don't know if that's something, that we should do more about. We certainly don't want to be chasing people down to sign in, but I feel like that information is so important when it comes to management decisions. And when we send our membership packets out, we do send out a letter that includes that link and the importance of why they should be signing in. But the whole population that now uses Catamount for free doesn't get that information. And it's been a challenge. So if anyone has any suggestions, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's very important because I'll say, all right, I use Catamount for, as well as skiing, but for, birding and hiking and stuff. And it never occurred to me to sign in for those events. So because there's a big QR code sign over by the thing and I'm thinking, okay, that's for paying events. And it just doesn't I'll park on the side of the road or I'll walk in and it didn't click.
Maybe-
So,
Yeah.
Maybe, like posting on the Catamount Community Forest Facebook page that, just sort of emphasizing the importance that it gives us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if we can do that, I think that would probably be good, if we. And so the sign is still next to the building, Kim?
There's a brand new one on the barn that clearly explains the importance of it, like how that information is used by us and the town to make these management decisions. And then, for people that frequent Catamount, we keep telling everyone, do it before you come, especially to those in the winter. Like, don't get your hands cold, to sign in here. You can do it over your morning coffee if you're coming in. But so we put that information out. It's on the homepage of our website. It's on I think there's information on the trail map as well that got hung up at the barn. There's the new QR code. Our staff talk about it to people when they come through. We put it up on our Facebook page, out in newsletters, but the only people that are receiving that information are those that are following us. And
Right.
I mean, I think we're definitely doing better than what it used to be, because it used to be that Catamount used those fobs, but you could only use the fobs when guest service was open, which was so little of a time. And same thing with the old sign-in. You could only physically sign in when the building was open. So we have a format that's much more accessible for everyone. But just ways to get that information out there would be helpful. Because I know there's way more people that are walking and hiking that are actually signing in.
I think one of the hardest things for folks is that you don't have to do that at any other town forests. So I think they just, it doesn't even click, to do that. But I know when you go to like Camel's Hump or Mansfield or wherever, you sign in because the state uses that for funding.
Yeah.
And I think people are used to that. So if there was a way to send that message out saying, we need this information because, and maybe a link to how to sign in ahead of time. That makes sense, because I come over every Thursday to do the bobolink survey, during the season. But, I don't even think about it. I just go and, we go over there and do the bobolinks and then we're done.
Well, and the links have been out there and available now, and they actually haven't changed it's been now almost 2 years, year and a half. So it's the same links. And I think it's just getting that messaging across on a pretty constant basis to get more people doing it.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I guess just education, just talking to people. It's like, don't snowshoe on the trail, the ski tracks. Until the signage gets out there and the education is done.
Yeah, well, I mean, Terry, maybe if you share the link on the Catamount Community Forest page to remind that population, like, this is super important, very helpful. I took a picture of the new sign at the town, on the barn, hoping, to share that as well on some social stuff. But
that's a good idea.
Yeah. Because Amanda was great when she made it, it's like, why should I sign in? I signed in last time. Why do I have to do this every time? And then it went into, well, this is the activity usage that's monitored. And we removed email from that because there was some feedback. People don't want to put their emails in, and we get it. We don't use that email data anyway. So we took that out. And I think it's now just like name, activity, how many in your group. And then the day that they're there, it timestamps it. So
good. Yeah. I think, as much as the hub is open, just, interacting with the people. I mean, you can definitely tell the difference between a walker and a biker,
Well, yeah. And having the fence there to bring more people through just enhances that interaction. So that's been fantastic. So
good.
Other than that, I saw the note too on National Trails Day, and I know it's just after 6:30, so things are going along great with that. Amanda just let me know today that she's going to be picking up a tote from Vermont Invasives that's going to have different games and activities highlighting the terrestrial invasives in the area. So that's exciting, you know, whether that's something that this committee wants to incorporate into their table or not, to have some activities there, let us know, because we'll have that. Yeah.
Yes, the
Go on.
invasives, I can, you know, I'll have it to be there with a table and any kind of information that you can provide or will. I know Laura did a lot on invasives when she was chair and she was here.
Yeah.
so.
No, I'll connect you. Yeah, we can connect you with that tote on day up, but like cool activities that engage youth and stuff like that too, to really kind of understand how it happens, the
Great.
proliferation of it. So yeah, that's all I've got.
Great. Okay. And my Nest Watch thing is easy. You know, we're going to start probably next week meeting as a group. If anybody's interested in volunteering, we could use more folks. But yeah, so it's the birds are there. They're starting to think about nesting. So that's up and going. Okay. And I guess we could just confirm our next meeting date, which will be June 9th.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, and if you want to meet at Catamount, I don't see why not. Over there, I think it would be nice to go over there, and it'll be just after Trails Day, so you know we'll have some good information. And I know, Kim, you said that you weren't able to make it this time, so I don't know if you'd be able to make a meeting at Catamount.
My hope is to. I have to look that far out. So everything's getting really crazy really quick with everything starting. So I'm actually going to take a few days off next week. But yeah, so hopefully I can be there. And yeah.
Okay, great. And Melinda and I or whoever can talk about topics, but I don't see anything imminent. Oh, and just to mention it, the beaver thing, I think that sounds like it's under control, and Melinda said it wasn't going to flood too quick, so that was a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, we're out there every day letting water out, so.
Great. Yeah, I know you know what worked great was a potato hook. That really
Yeah,
made a
I went
difference.
out there with a Pulaski.
Oh, good.
One at a time. But it's definitely building a lodge. Like when you look at the pond at the far right hand corner, like we watched it, it's got a trail going back and forth and hauling stuff out of the willows, hauling it in. It took down a pine tree.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah.
So and Melinda's looking into maybe using a beaver deceiver rate from the state. Is that maybe a possibility like Allenbrook?
Yeah, it might be a possibility. Department of Fish and Wildlife is going to come and do a site visit, I think in a few weeks. So we'll see.
Good, okay.
Is that on the second pond?
The one off Woods Trace.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Right, the one we put the duck box there, yeah.
I saw him there. He slapped his tail at me, so.
Yeah.
It swam within like 10 feet of me when I was on the dam last week. It's like, and I finished putting all the holes through it, and then it like grabbed sticks and came right back to the dam.
Yeah.
I was still there. I was like, oh God.
It's a rare beaver, but yeah.
It's
So
cool.
hopefully
It's cool to have that activity so close though. Like people like are just, they're loving it.
They're
So,
amazed, yeah.
yeah.
And I did, oh, go ahead.
You may consider just kind of leaving it as is for a few days to see how high the water rises. Maybe it won't even flood the trail, and then you wouldn't have to keep going in and doing stuff.
Yeah, before we started taking it down, it was like lapping at the side of where the stone was, about 50 plus feet back, like up Woods Trace. So that was where we were like, oh boy, we're gonna get more rain. And so,
True.
I don't know, it might be some, I mean, because you can always, like, if it really looks like it's gonna flood, then you just go in there and you can just continue what you've been doing.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, but that's great. I'm glad that Melinda, somebody's going to take a look at it. And Lucy, I did run into Lucy, and she said that they come every few years and then they run out of food and then they move on. So that's been her experience there over the years. So that would be nice, but we'll see. So
isn't there a pretty established pond though to the west of that, heading down towards where Pat is, with beaver activity. I think that's where this one came from, because this one's definitely young, looking at the size of its tail. So this is the time of year it gets kicked out of its parents' place.
There's a
That's
large pond that Jim built for the outdoor skating rink.
Mm,
Ah,
So
okay.
it's sort of just almost at the property line heading west.
yeah. So
Right,
that's
and that one is very low of water because it's not getting the water from the pond where
Right.
the beaver is.
Ah,
So,
That middle one.
yeah,
the
I was
wetland.
down there and looking at it for a duck pond, so I went, this pond's a third dry, so,
yeah.
yeah.
So it is affecting the
Yes,
habitat.
it is affecting
downstream.
because it runs down through there, feeds that third pond, and it's very low of water.
Yeah, and it will,
Yeah.
it'll all cycle through and.
Yeah.
Right, that's a part of the beaver habitat. So.
what they do.
Okay,
Yeah.
but we'll just kind of keep an eye on it, and thank you, Kim, for getting out there and doing some elbow grease.
Yeah, well, we're all sharing days, so we're on a damn rotation schedule.
I'll go over there with my potato hook again, so
Oh, awesome.
you help out. Okay, great. So
Guys.
if there's nothing else that we need to talk about, I think we've covered all of our topics. We've got the next upcoming meeting. So if nobody disagrees, I move to adjourn this meeting at 6:39.
Thank you. All right.
Bye, everyone.
Do we have to make a
Yeah.
motion? I don't think so.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.